Well, good morning, my fellow Zenites. Did you check your PZEN wallet balance with your coffee this morning? Well, Slanjivar, everyone. How's everybody doing on this Sunday morning, afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world? Slanjivar. So it has been a tremendous week, that is for sure. From the SEC withdrawing from a myriad of crypto cases to President Trump being shot, an attempted assassination, regardless of what mainstream media want to call it. And of course, PZEN has been skyrocketing this week, and I'm sure that those of you who are in PZEN are extremely excited. And for those of you who are just coming into the PZEN ecosphere for the first time, welcome. Welcome to my replay viewers as well. I'm going to attempt today to delve into some exciting tokenomics about PZEN. But you know, going back to President Trump, being shot at or being shot is a terrible thing. And it's not until the next day, really, that the adrenaline calms down and it really starts to hit home about what happened. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you out there watching me in crypto land were in the armed forces, and you have also been shot at. You know what it feels like. I, in one of my jobs, have also been shot at. Luckily, in the airplane that I was flying, I've been trained in this particular situation, and I got away with it. It wasn't until a long time afterwards that the psychological impact of that became evident. However, I digress, because what I'm really talking about is how our brain is affected by chemicals. And of course, one of the main chemicals that we come across in crypto land is dopamine. And this is not a secret fact. You know, this is why people trade. This is why they make irrational decisions when it comes to money. It's because of the Neanderthal brain, the dopamine hit. I mean, look, why did you get into crypto in the first place? Well, I can probably guess that one of the things that you wanted to do when you got into crypto was to become wealthy. And I don't blame you. I mean, you wanted one of these. There we are. Beautiful car. Oh, by the way, that guy's house that was lent for the Lamborghini commercial is in Sicily, just around the corner from where I used to live. I digress. So what do? You know, you're an average guy, you're working an average job, and you're trying to get ahead, you're trying to get wealthy. How on earth do you do it? Well, of course, one of the things that you're seeing on social media is crypto, and you think, I'll buy into this lottery ticket crypto and that'll get me the Lambo. Well, let me tell you something. That is not what it is all about. I mean, look, I've been there. When I made some money, one of the first things I wanted, what I thought was the thing to do, was to buy. And I didn't buy a Lamborghini. I bought the car of my so-called dreams at the time. I bought a Rolls Royce, powder blue Rolls Royce with white leather interior. Guess what happened? I bought that car thinking that is what I wanted. But what I was trying to do was impress all my friends. And the reality is that I didn't even end up driving the car. You know who drove the car? Who got the benefit of the amazing mechanics that there is in a Rolls Royce? My chauffeur. My chauffeur drove that car far more than I ever did. I think I drove my car for three times, if that, because I was always in the back, always busy doing something else. So although it was a very nice car, it didn't bring me the result that I thought, the dopamine hit that I thought I was going to get from buying the car. It never materialized. And so along came Bitcoin. And with that, um, I thought I'd make some more money because when I was admitted into the Bitcoin Foundation in July 2014 by none other than Kevin Beardsley, yes, that same Kevin Beardsley, I thought I'd hit on a gold mine. And well, I had. But the arguments that go on even today are still relevant some 12 or 13 years later. They're still arguing about the same things that they used to argue when I joined. And for those who don't know the history, the Bitcoin Foundation went bankrupt. It was set up to actually, pay the developers of Bitcoin, but there was so much internal wrangling and politics that it all fell horribly apart. Fast forward to today, and what do we have? We have better technology. That's what we have. We have better programming. We have better tokenomics. And this leads us into PulseZen. Why PulseZen? Why are you trying to be in crypto in the first place? What is the actual point? Well, let's not beat about the bush. You want to be in crypto because you want to be wealthy. How are you actually going to do that? I want to show you something, which is very, very interesting. It's very boring for some of you, but I'm sorry, but I've been around a very long time, and I'm going to give you the benefit of my experience of being in my 20s, of being in my 30s, of being in my 40s, even 50s, in my 60s. Gosh, I'm that old. Let me show you something in the real world. Okay, follow me through. Here is what is going to happen to you in your normal working life. If you're 20 right now, if you're a 20-year-old watching this broadcast, first thing, congratulations, well done for finding me. So if you start saving at age 20, to become a millionaire at age 65 with the current returns of about 10% up until your age, up until 20 years, so 9%, 10% for 20 years, 9.5% for 25 years, you'd have to be saving $95 a month. Can you do that? Yes. Can you wait another 20, 30 years before you become a millionaire? That is, before you have $1 million in the bank? Don't know about that. But those are the figures. $95 a month to become a millionaire at age 65. So some, 45 years later. What about if you're a bit older? Well, the thing is, time and compound interest is something that the majority of people do not understand. They do not understand what is the tokenomics behind PulseZen. Sure, when it came out, everybody called it scam. Everybody said it was a crap coin and blah, 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 blah. But the reason for that is because a lot of those people were into Hex at the very beginning, which was a protocol that I promoted, and it was very good at its time. In its day, Hex was very good. It's still very good now, but you have to lock up your money for a very long period of time. And to be quite honest, the people who made the most money out of Hex in the old days didn't lock up their money. Those people didn't stake Hex. So you begin to wonder, is there now a better protocol for this age? It's a bit like Bitcoin. I was one of the early evangelists and adopters of Bitcoin, but today I see the same arguments ensuing, and I can see that it's been hijacked. I think it was hijacked in 2015 by the three-letter agencies of a certain unknown or unnamed government. But that's neither here nor there. There's no doubt about it. The Bitcoin, the price is totally manipulatable by governments. And that's by design. They've designed it like that. They've taken over Bitcoin. And there is better technology. Could Bitcoin be upgraded? Yes, it could. But who's going to do it? The governments are not interested. They don't want you to be able to have a Bitcoin that you can use as peer-to-peer payment. They've taken that functionality away from you. It can only ever be a store of value. What store of value is it exactly? It reached a high, of $70,000, and I still haven't seen it go back to that. So it's hardly a store of value. And the price is totally manipulated by governments. And we've seen the German government selling their ill-gotten gains from other people that they pinched, basically, and they sold it on the open market. And they sold thousands of Bitcoin and dumped the price. Mt. Gox, the Japanese police did a fantastic job of recovering the Bitcoin and they're returning it to their original owners, which is great. But mark my words, 42% of those people, at least, are going to be selling those Bitcoin. Now, not everybody's got their Bitcoin back from Mt. Gox. Don't believe the mainstream media. We haven't. We're still waiting. But I can guarantee you this, when they do get it back, it's being sold back onto the market, which is going to dump the price down ever more. But going on, okay, so this is what we're talking about. In our 30s, we need to save, sorry, go back to it again. If you're 30 and watching this broadcast right now, you will need to save 270 US dollars a month. The same in pounds, by the way, or euros, just to swap the currency. To be able to become a millionaire at age 65, you have to save 270 US dollars a month. Not an extortion amount of money. You can do this, but you're impatient. But it gets worse. Let's have a look at, if you're in your 40s, you've been in your job for a while now, you've tried to save money, you're probably married, probably got 2 kids, and you're trying to get ahead. Well, in order to build up that nest egg of $1 million, you now have to save 780 US dollars a month, or 780 pounds, or 780 euros in order to build up a nest egg of $1 million at age 65. It gets worse. Let's say you haven't been able to do that and you've turned 50 already, you're in your 50s. How much do you have to save in order to build up that pot to reach $1 million or £1 million at age 65? Now, you would have to save a staggering 2,480 US dollars a month in order to get to that nest egg of $1 million at age 65. I mean, it is no wonder that people come into cryptocurrency believing it's a lottery, believing that they're buying lottery tickets and that they will win somehow. Even if you are trading, the figures suggest that 98% of people who trade are going to lose money. And I think it's true. And 1% actually makes money trading. But that 1% is making minimum wage. They might as well just go and work in McDonald's. Seriously, they're not making wealth-making money. There is a 0.1% percentage of people who trade who make money. But mark my words, if you do not know about finance, if you do not know about blockchain technology, if you don't know how smart contracts work, if you don't know how an MEV bot works, if you cannot program your own MEV bot, if you don't know what arbitrage means, if you can't fund the MEV bot in the first place, then you're dead. You will become one of those 98% statistic, not the 1%, not the 0.1%. You will lose all your money. Regardless of statistics, I've spoken to many people myself who deem themselves to be successful traders. When you examine the real figures, they have lost money. They haven't made money, or the money that they make doesn't allow them to live a lifestyle. Don't forget, this is just part of my lifestyle. This is just, a few months of the year. And what could be nicer than this? We're bobbing up and down in the middle of the Caribbean. Weather's not fantastic, but it's better than being cold, that's for sure. So you've come into crypto, you've heard all the social media stories, you're buying lottery ticket tokens, hoping that you're going to be the one that wins. More often than not, you're not going to be the one that wins. And mark my words, even if you were, let's say at age 20, you managed to invest, I don't know, $1,000, $10,000 into a coin, which you managed to buy at the low of the market, and then you're watching it every minute of the day. What a waste of your life, by the way. You're watching it every minute of the day. And then at the very top of the market, you manage to sell. Okay, you sell right at the top of the market, and lo and behold, you make $1 million, and you're only 22, and you make $1 million. Well, whoopity doo. What do you think you're going to do with that $1 million? Are you going to leave your job? Well, you probably will. But I can guarantee you this, you will spend that $1 million in a very short amount of time. I think, look, if you want to buy a nice car, a Lamborghini, maybe you spend 250,000 on your Lamborghini. Let's say you want to buy a house. You buy a house, okay? Leaves you with a few $100,000 to get by with. So you think, well, I've made it. I can quit my job and I can live off the earnings of my money. Doesn't work like that. Do you know how expensive it is to live these days? I can guarantee you, if you don't have passive income, you will go broke in a very short amount of time and you will be back at square one, but almost square one. You need passive income. And this is where the tokenomics and the financial economics of PZEN come into play. It is not a lottery ticket crypto. It is a wealth building crypto. And if I can just show you something here, just to illustrate the power of compound interest and how PZEN actually plays on this, and how when you get involved into the ecosystem that is PZEN, you become part of this.
The power of PZEN is in the compounding interest code. Let's look at today's numbers. On Pulse Chain, 1 million PZEN at $0.0009 costs just $900. The daily pay it forward code can average for the year 500 PZEN per 1 million held per day. So you are making 45 cents a day, or $164.50 or so a year. So that works out to a whopping 18.2% a year, no staking, no lockup. However, if you imagine the growth in PZEN, imagine daily volume increases and price is 30 cents. Everything looks shockingly different. The daily PIF is now $150 a day at 30 cents per PZEN. That generates compounding rewards of about $54,750 a year, which is a staggering 5,375% APY. Go see for yourself at pulsezen.app.
So the point of that is to illustrate the code, the math behind the code, because you're not relying on any third party. You're not relying on me. You're not relying on anyone. What you are is witnessing code and compound interest at work for you. It's like you set and forget. Once you become a member of this community, you will become a community member for life. When you see the results of being part of this community, and this is the key word, it is a community-driven economy that you are entering, far, far away from a third party, a bank. It's far, far away from the control of a third party member. It's far, far away control from the governments. It's your economy. It's you alone, but you're not alone. You are part of this community. I mean, if I can show you we've been showing you how much you have to save with regard to getting to be a millionaire. But if you join this community, look what could happen. This is just, pure conjecture, but this is what could happen. Every day you get 500 PZEN given to you by the code. You don't have to do anything. It just appears in your wallet every single day once the trading volume is high enough to support that. Just 1 second while the airplane comes out of the way. I'll give you time to digest those numbers on the screen, because this is mind-blowing. The code is going to generate 500 PZEN a day for every 1 million PZEN that you hold in your wallet. That's about £5 a day. £5 a day. That's £1,825 a year. Now, if the value of the coin also goes up, we're going to be making 38% APY. And it means that if you had have invested into this instead of a 401k or stocks and shares, then the amount of money that you'd have at age 65 would be something in the order of nearly 300 or 400 million dollars for a measly investment of 1 million PZEN. Whatever 1 million PZEN is going to cost you today, if you're starting today, it'll probably cost you about $1,000. Once you've got that $1 million in the bank, you become part of this community. And I will show you what it means to be part of this community. If I can just show you, I don't know whether they'll allow me to, but I'll try and see if we can see this. First of all, I want to go back to the good old days when PZEN was launched, and we only had one chain to deal with, and that was that was Ethereum. So PZEN was launched on Ethereum, and it was doing extremely well. And then when Pulse Chain launched, with all the furore that came about being launched on Pulse Chain, which we didn't anticipate, and we never thought that this would happen, it tanked. There's no doubt about it. But we weren't the only community to tank. Every single community in the world has tanked. Every single token has gone down. But look what's happening just recently. When the community got involved and said to themselves, okay, I take individual action, but the community is with me. They're all taking the same action. Because of the swap function that was introduced by the community, we are dragging up the price of PZEN on Ethereum. And it's now today at 0.003589. It's up 1.8% today alone. Okay? But of course, where the action is right now, and I don't blame anybody for doing this, but we are up 0.00922, sorry, it was 98. It has gone up more than 40% in just a week. 57% increase. Do you realize how big an impact that you are having just by following one simple rule and one simple thing? You are part of a community. You're part of a group. Even though you act individually, as a group, the group think, the group mentality kicks in. And if you all believe in the same thing, if you all buy and do not sell, and you hold this coin for the long term, I mean, I've shown you the figures. You're all going to get there. You all think that you're going to be a millionaire by the time you're 25. I'm sorry, but I hate to burst your bubble, but you're not. The figures that you see from social media are not going to apply to you. It doesn't matter how often they say it or how often they purport to have the lifestyle that you're aspiring to. It's not going to happen. But this could. And this is what you have to figure out yourself. So you can see that if we all, as a community, act in the same direction, i.e. we buy and do not sell, the price just goes one way, and that is up and to the right. Look, let me show you this graph again. And this is only happening since people became to be enlightened to the view of what can happen when we sort of get rid of our brain or control our Neanderthal brain, and we think logically about what can actually happen through group dynamics. Group dynamics which are driven by your individual action. If somebody reneges and says, oh, I'm going to take money away from all the group, well, the way that the coin works is that you still get your PZEN in your wallet, whether it is a buy or a sell. So we thank you very much for your trading, and we thank you very much for your tokens. We're going to be okay. You're not. This is the only coin that offers this sort of dynamic ability to do this. So it's absolutely no wonder that we are making grounds again, because the FUD that people put out has been unfounded, and time has proven that very fact. And it was only time that was going to be able to prove that fact. It doesn't matter what I say, it doesn't matter what others say. It is the performance that's going to prove what's actually happening. And the performance is down to you. It really is you. Yes, I'm talking to you. Your actions determine the direction of this coin. And if you realize that you're not on your own, there is a huge audience. There is huge amounts of wealth. And when they start to see a group which is acting cohesively, they want to be part of that group. And it's a self-fulfilling thing. We reach a tipping point. The network effect starts to kick in. And we just grow and grow and grow. And so you have to understand the mentality. You have to understand the workings of your brain. You have to understand dopamine, the dopamine hit. You have to understand the gambling mentality that we have to keep under control, and believe in a group. And you have to have trust. You have to have trust. And when you're dealing with immutable code, it immediately takes out one of the parties, that is the third party middleman. You don't have to trust them anymore because they're not involved. It's just you. Now, how do you get there? It ain't easy. It is not easy. I understand. You have to install MetaMask. You have to know what that means. You have to learn how to control your accounts through a Trezor or a Ledger or some other hardware device. You have to fund Coinbase or some other centralized exchange in order to get your dirty fiat into cryptocurrency in the first place. Then you have to swap it for WPLS, wrapped Pulse, and then you have to buy PulseZen with it from there on in on Pulse Chain, for which you have to change the chain in MetaMask. It is mind-blowingly difficult for your average person, but that's just what it is. I mean, when you applied for a loan at the bank, was it easy? Not really. Not if you're doing a proper loan. It's extremely difficult. In fact, finance is difficult all around. It's no different in the real TradFi world. We're dealing with problems that apply to the DeFi world just as much as there are problems in the TradFi world. The difference is the returns. Cryptocurrency is the highest appreciating asset class that there is, and it will continue to be for a very, very long time. That is for sure. So let me leave you with some figures of what's been going on this week. We've seen how we've got a fantastic performance of PulseZen on both chains because of the swap functionality. Here is Pulse Chain, and it's number 9 today. It goes up and down like a horse draws. By the way, you won't find Pulse Chain listed on all ranking sites. The reason why? People don't like it. People don't like the idea of Richard Hart. They don't like the fact that he's copied Ethereum and made it faster, cheaper, and more secure. They don't like that idea. But it is there. It's just a function of life. You have to update your worldview. You have to realize that technology has advanced a heck of a lot. Okay, just wait 1 minute. Somebody's celebrating the win of Spain over England. Boo-hoo. So going back to Pulse Chain, we're number 9 today with a trading volume of $7.7 million. Still not bad. And as I say, if you go on something like CoinGecko here, they don't list it on their main site. You have to go to the chain ranking site here. What else have we got? Nothing on there. Go Pulse. Can we share this? Let's just see what's happening in the Richard Hart ecosphere. So here we have Pulse itself up 4% to 00042, significantly down from those of us who sacrificed. Pulse is up a little bit again, and Ink is up a little bit, 4%. We're talking about 50% increase in a week or 4% for Richard Hart's ecosphere. Which one do you think is going to win out? And there's good old Hex. Hex is not a bad protocol, by the way. Don't ever let anybody tell you that I said Hex is a bad protocol. It is not. It is a good protocol. I'm just saying that people don't want to lock up their money for long periods of time, 15 years. Maybe you want to put your money away for a couple of years, but you still want it under your control. And that means self-custody. And that means not staking it. All right. So that's what's been happening in the ecosphere. However, it doesn't stop there. It really doesn't stop there, because this community is one of the most amazing communities I have ever been part of. Of course, Hex is a massive and amazing community of people. They've got 250,000 people, supposedly. And we've got a nascent, maybe 5,000 people who believe enough in this token. And again, the groupthink, the group mentality will win through if you all stick together. But things are moving on. The ecosphere is developing. I mean, for example, I was given these screenshots the other day of a very interesting idea from a member of the community. Here is the PZEN watch. Now, you can't buy this watch. It's a very nice watch, by the way. It's not a $5 million watch. It's not a $1 million watch. It's more valuable than that because it is a PZEN watch. You can see maybe on the screen that it actually says PZEN. And that logo will be engraved on there, not just plonked on there by some text generator. It will be engraved on there. But it will not be available for sale to the general public. In fact, it will only be available for those people who have a sufficient balance of PZEN in their wallet. And they will be rewarded with an NFT, and the NFT will allow them to go to this website, and they will exchange their NFT and get a huge discount on a watch, if that is something that you like. But don't forget, it's not just any ordinary watch. It's a multi-million-dollar watch because it says PZEN on it. So that's an interesting thing. There are other sort of interesting ideas in the ecosphere to enhance the ecosphere of what PZEN is all about, including being able to, exchange NFTs based on the value of your PZEN holdings for real world goods. But maybe later on for liquidity providers. Obviously, Richard Hart has his own DEX. Just 1 second. We're kind of being inundated by young girls on a jet ski. I don't know whether you can see them in the background there, and coming back around in a minute. They've obviously discovered who I am. I'm moored up in a bay outside a holiday resort at the moment. So it's quite interesting here. I think somebody's discovered who owns this yacht out here. So I'm going to have to move from here eventually. But I digress. There are things going on in the ecosphere which will enhance the ecosphere. In other projects, we've seen this happen. We've seen money gets diverted away and diluted. And I'm very, very cognizant of that fact. And I won't allow anything to happen to this ecosphere that moves in that direction. So there we are. That's been a very exciting week for PZEN. Can you imagine if we can keep this groupthink going? If we can just say we're in this for the long haul and that we all act as one, even though we're acting individually, we will have a fantastic community going forward. And, it's unrealistic to believe that those green candles will continue up and up and up forever without ever coming back down. Of course, there are going to be people who don't understand the mentality of this groupthink, and they'll try and take advantage of it. But I think I made a tweet the other day. Why would you, if you're involved in this ecosphere, why would you sell out for a few pennies? Why would you sell out for $1,000? Why would you sell out now for $1 million? It's not going to help you. You need passive income. And we've proven to you time and time again, PZEN is the ultimate passive income generator through its compounding interest that is mimicked by the code. Ooh, big long rant. Okay, I hope you can hear me okay. Do apologize for the young ladies on the jet ski, but there we are. This is life. So I've just got a second to take some comments if anybody's joined us. Let's see if there's anybody around. Okay. Now the young ladies seem to be coming even closer, but we'll try and ignore them. Okay, CB. Hello, CB. Hello to you, sir. Some people have commented whether they can hear me. Zero Zenite. Hello, Zero Zenite, a very big supporter in the community. And he says, a shout out to all the Zenites, such a strong community focused on immutable, perpetual, passive income. There's somebody that gets it. Wait Dog, I'll put your comment up here, even though I think you're banned in YouTube because, well, you're an idiot. But it says, still slinging your useless tokens to everyone. Tokens? What do you mean by tokens? Speculative Ponzianomics. Well, that just proves to me that you are uneducated. You don't understand finance. You don't understand DeFi. And you certainly don't understand PZEN. But that's not your fault. That's not your fault. You know, if you want to go and run away and run MEV bots and you understand all that thing, you can do that. Or if you want to have a life outside of cryptocurrency and invest in a protocol that is going to pay you passive income by writ of the code, you now have to think about it again, then maybe you should think about that and enjoy your life because it's very short, let me tell you. So Wait Dog, I hope you're going to get yourself educated. Cam Vietnam looks like a new guy. He says, I see I have to set the slippage. Will that apply when you sell as well? Yeah, this is very important. On any decentralized exchange or even the centralized exchanges, you have a slippage figure that is set automatically for you. You'll find it on an icon, usually a cogwheel, and it allows you to set the slippage according to what it is that you want to do. Why do you have to increase the slippage, or why do you have to switch away from auto when you're dealing with PulseZen, buying or selling? Well, the reason is that the code deducts a certain percentage from every buy and sell. It's different from for a sell to a buy, but it's round about the same, about 2.21%. And it's broken up like this. You can see it in the code. All of this is totally transparent. This is why this works. There is a 2% deduction. And all of the PulseZen gets pooled. And out of that pool, you get your share of that pool. Either a buy or a sell contributes to the pool automatically. You get the number of coins proportional to the percentage of that pool that you own. If you own more PulseZen, you get bigger, you get more PulseZen every day. That's how that works. But we also have a deduction for a charity wallet. Yes, that's right. You become a philanthropist from day one, having just taken the time to invest in this opportunity. You become a philanthropist because the code does that for you. We have a charity wallet and we decide at the odd time where that money goes. We've invested in a few charities so far. And of course, we've invested in the Salk Institute. The Salk Institute is very invested in Alzheimer's and dementia diseases, which could benefit certain members of the public. You know who I'm talking about. But it is a fantastic longevity laboratory as well. And they're coming up with non-commercial products. What that means, they are a non-commercial non-profit organization. So what they do is they do all the science, and then somebody else makes money from the science that they create. So that's who I want to invest in. And that's how we chose the Salk in the very first place. Any other burning questions? Oh, another thing I want to tell you about. These young ladies are very persistent. Sorry about this. I'll just give them a wave and maybe they'll go away. Sorry about that. Okay, so a couple of things I want to mention about the PulseZen economics. Number one, if you're buying or selling on a DEX, you need to set the slippage at 3%. Now, does that mean you're going to be front run? Not necessarily. MEV bots look at all sorts of things, including the ability to front run. So you may be front run, but you're hardly ever going to notice it. And if you use Pateos.io, which is a DEX on the Pulse Chain network, they've got some safeguards in place to prevent MEV bots from pinching money from you. There is no solution to this because of the way the code is written and the way the code can be exploited. There are some certain mitigations that you can do. The blockchain developer has to implement this. The exchanges have to implement this, but it can be done. So you have to set slippage at 3%. That is the major thing that you have to do. The other thing that you have to realize is that, you know, if you are a liquidity provider, there are many different pools. And one of the things about this is that one of the pools is the biggest pool at the moment on Pulse Chain is PulseZen against Pulse. Now, as the value of Pulse goes up in another pool, for example, Pulse DAI, then it automatically raises the price of the value of the pool. So that if you want to take out your money, you've automatically gained not only from the price of PulseZen. Really, ladies? You automatically get the price increase attributed to Pulse, because the MEV bots actually perform the arbitrage events that need to take place in order to make Pulse the same price on all of the pools, the same as for PulseZen. If PulseZen is lower on another pool, guess what? The MEV bots will take action. You can even take action by buying from a different pool. I mean, don't forget, it's specifically set up so that there are pools on both chains. You have an Ethereum chain and you have Pulse chain, and you are now able to swap between either version of PulseZen. You couldn't do that before. You could bridge your tokens across either way, but that didn't really impart great value to either of the tokens. But by swapping them, you, as a liquidity provider, get your percentage of the fees. Don't forget, you get your percentage of the pool fees. It's not the percentage of all the pools, it's the percentage of that particular pool. So if you own the majority of that pool, which you could do right now with a very small amount of money, you know, a few $1,000s makes you a very big player in the pool, you get on Ethereum your share of the 0.3% of the transaction fee, and on Pulse Chain you get your share of the 0.22% transaction fee. And who knows, over time that might be very valuable. And I think that later on we are going to see, obviously Richard Hart isn't interested in any other token other than the ones that he's created. So we're not going to see any incentives linked to his coins, linked to our coin, PulseZen. But we could see in the future some reward system coming forward where liquidity providers are actually rewarded themselves just by being a liquidity provider. This ecosphere is not standing still. Technology changes all the time. Look at Bitcoin. PulseZen is a better Bitcoin by far. I mean, you can't earn yield on the Bitcoin that you own. Bitcoin at the price that it is, if it goes up double, the amount of economic energy that has to run into Bitcoin right now to raise the price double is a gazillion dollars. The amount of equity required to raise the price of PulseZen on either Pulse Chain or on the Ethereum network is paltry. It's minuscule in return. So can we see a 10x? Can we see a 100x from here? Can we see a 1000x? Can we see a 10,000x? Of course, it's entirely possible. Why? Because we have such a low market cap that it is reality. Now people say, "Oh, market cap doesn't mean anything." It doesn't mean anything, but it is a measure against other cryptocurrencies. So you can use it as a measure. It doesn't actually mean anything in real world terms, in fiat terms. It's just a gauge about what's happening in relation to other coins. And this is the thing that you have to understand. It is proportional trading that we're actually dealing with everything to do with cryptocurrency, until the final event occurs when we want to transfer our wealth into fiat. Now, later on in life, there's no doubt that mechanism is going to change, because you are going to be able to buy real world goods with cryptocurrency. And so there will be a way of ratio trading into that cryptocurrency in the future, and we won't have to rely on fiat. So it's all going to change. But the most important thing is that you realize that you are in a nascent industry. You cannot buy into an asset that's going to produce the returns potentially in cryptocurrency. It is higher than any other asset class out there. There is no doubt about it. So slippage, very, very important. Any other questions? CB says, are we better off buying PulseZen on ETH or Pulse? Well, that really depends on your risk tolerance. But I will say this, the very simplest way to grow your wealth double is to make sure that the price of PulseZen on Ethereum is exactly the same price as it is on PulseChain. That was the whole ethos. That we were all spouting that at the very beginning. We all said that the coins would go to parity. They had to. Well, we were proven wrong because certain events overshadowed this. Not least the court case about Richard Hart and the spat that went on between Rackham Rochelle's investors, the Saudis. All of that had a great impact on PulseChain, which Richard Hart was not able to control or deal with. He wasn't able to control or deal with the SEC suing us either. But that's another aside. The real question is, do you want to see the price of Pulse go up on Ethereum? Do you want to see the price of Pulse go up on PulseZen go up on PulseChain? And if the answer is yes, you can do one of two things. You can buy on both chains. Which is better? We don't know what is going to happen in the future. We don't know what is better. So nobody can say one is better than the other. But they're basically the same token. So the same economics apply. Some people have more trust in the Ethereum blockchain. Bear that in mind. The transaction fees on PulseChain are extremely low. Now, that matters for those people who have locked up their HEX, for example, because there were stakes coming forward where it was impossible to unlock the HEX stake because the gas fees on Ethereum were so high, it wasn't even worth it. And guess what? We wanted to make sure that never happened again. And that's why PulseZen was created, because then people don't have to lock up their money on either chain. And mark my words, this is true. The fees on Ethereum are going to get cheaper. There's no doubt about that. In the long run, they are going to get cheaper. And on PulseChain, a long time in the future, maybe, but they are going to get more expensive. Do you think Pulse is going to stay at the same price that it is? Is it going to go any lower than it is now? I highly doubt it. Is PulseZen price ever going to go any lower on PulseChain or on Ethereum? I doubt it very much. You know, this is just me and my humble opinion, not financial advice. But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize, hey, hang on a minute. We've had all of this FUD. We've had all of this noise coming out of not only the United States, but out of Europe and Asia about regulation. And we're all a bit distrustful about what's going to happen into the future. So it's no wonder that we haven't seen the economic energy flowing into either chain. But mark my words, we will. Now, I don't know whether it's going to be in Ethereum or PulseChain. I really don't know. But I personally don't want to see PulseZen being cheap on either chain. And when you think about it, it can't forever. It can't be a disparity in price between one chain and another, especially as we go forward, as the fees kind of come closer and closer together. Then it becomes one of trust, of who do you trust the most? So there's no simple answer to that question. And of course, you can trade between one pool and another and bring the price up to parity on both chains. Unbelievably, unbelievable. Does it benefit me? No, not really. I am, the coin creator. I created it for you. It's not me, it's you, it's your coin. The people who are making the money are the people that are invested in this community. This is what this is all about. Great question, by the way. Sorry, I hate that phrase, great question, but it is a good question. What else we got? Okay, Red Hulk LT1, hello to you, sir. Love this coin and community. Absolutely, Red Hulk, very pleased to have you as a very valued member of the community. Okay, look, I've been rambling on quite long enough for this short broadcast. I apologize for any noise that's overshadowed my dulcet tones. Some rabid fans wanting to get closer to the yacht, so I do apologise for that. I recognise that broadcasting from the back of a boat is not the best, but I'm determined to make the most of the season as much as I can, because really we are coming up to hurricane season. We've always seen one major hurricane, and I can tell you, there are YouTubers out there who broadcast about what it's like to be on a sailing yacht. And it was one night I was out, and it was blowing about 40 knots, and the waves they weren't, terribly big. Well, they were 10 or 12 feet. It's big enough for me. And I just thought, I really want to broadcast me being frightened in these conditions? Is that entertainment? Probably not. Oh, maybe it is, but it certainly wasn't entertainment for me, so I don't think I'm going to go there. So there won't be any videos forthcoming from my boat. But I will tell you this, what I have learned. That was my spiel about PZEN. Now on to something very different. That is life. We all live a finite life. That makes us all the same. None of us are going to live extortionately longer than the other person. Some people may live a little bit longer. Some people may live a little bit shorter due to circumstances. You have to make use of every minute of your valuable time on Earth. Go do it, because the worst thing that can happen to you is you look back at age 65 and think, God, I should have done it. And by the way, 65 is young. When I reached 65, I thought life was going to be over. Well, when I was younger, I thought when people who are age 65, you had it, you're done. But I can tell you that I'm looking forward to another 20, 30 years of my life. And, hopefully I don't become like Biden. I think I am becoming a little bit like him, like everybody else. But there's so much more of life to enjoy. So on to my ramble. I was very much a powerboat guy, power yacht. I was very much used to having staff drive the boat, look after me. But I have to say it's very expensive and not much of an asset, I have to say, in as much as what return do you get? Because on the yacht that I was on, if I wanted to go anywhere, it cost me an arm and a leg to fill the tanks up, let alone the damage to the environment, which I didn't really think about too much, but my family did, and they persuaded me to buy a yacht. Now, there's been a drastic change in lifestyle, but what I didn't realize was you could actually live on a yacht, which I have been doing for the last few months, and be extremely comfortable, because one of the things is, and one of the greatest advantages of being able to, I never thought I'd be able to buy a yacht, ever. Never thought I'd be able to buy several yachts. But here we are. So I recommend this, and you'll probably do this one day. And one thing I can tell you about buying a yacht is if you kit it out with the latest technology, you will be able to live off grid. It's incredible. I never realized how attached I would become to a water maker, for example. I never realized how attached I would become to solar energy and all the other mod cons that we have to make life living on a boat the same as living in any one of my houses. It's the same thing, because it's kitted out pretty much the same. So it is an amazing lifestyle. There's no doubt about that. Anyway, that's enough of my rambling. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Conrad Zen. Thank you for being part of this amazing community. It's only growing and getting stronger. I look forward to what's going to happen next week. As always, it's going to be exciting, whatever. Slanjivar, everyone. Thank you very much to all my live viewers and also to my replay viewers. Slanjivar.